Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to cover how to attack a king stuck in the middle of the board at the beginning of the game. When your opponent fails to castle early and leaves the king exposed, it presents a massive opportunity for you. The key idea is simple, just open the position and attack quickly. The mechanics of such attacks, however, warrant a deeper discussion. Let's get started by looking at the position on the board. It's black to move. And the black king is stuck in the center due to the pressure on e-file. If black tries to castle right now, white will simply grab the e7 bishop, getting a decisive material advantage. As a result, black has serious problems here, because its rook cannot connect and its piece coordination is disrupted. In the game, black decided to move the king to f8 immediately to relieve the pressure on the e-file, but still could not solve the problems and quickly lost the game. Now let's look at the beginning of this game to see how it even happened that black got stuck with the uncastled king. The game was played at the beginning of this year between two solid club players. White was rated at slightly above 2100, black was rated at around 2000. The opening was the Sicilian defense. Okay, it was normal moves, and white played b3. This strange-looking move is only the fifth option by popularity. Nevertheless, it has been tried by numerous elite grandmasters, such as Magnus Carlsen, Garry Kasparov, Fabiano Caruana, Arjun Erigaisi, and Alireza Firouzja. One of the main ideas behind b3 at this moment is that it's not as easy for black to fight for the control of the big diagonal after they played e6. Way more popular options for white are obviously d4 and c3. After d4, take knight takes d4, numerous lines are possible. And after c3, black usually plays d5, and we have this popular line. But b3 was played. Again, it's a rare option, but popular on elite level. Okay, d5. A bit questionable move. Black tries to build pawn center, but white gets lead in development. This strategic situation is not easy to play for black. Numerous other options were tried here for black. Let me show you what might be played here instead of this d5. Let me remove this. So knight c6, b6, quite popular move, a6 was tried, d6 was tried, knight f6 was tried. Many options. I would say that b6 is the most promising for black, but it's my personal opinion. Okay, now it was played d5, trying to play in the center. Main line, white trades pawn in the center, the next plays bishop b5, next castle, and tries to attack on e-file. Black should be careful in this line not to get stuck with its king in the center, because white might get quick attack on the e-file. Okay, take, bishop b5, check main line, bishops are traded, white is trading to quickly get attack on e-file, and castle. Unless this position was analyzed before, it's not easy for black to figure out how to finish his development, because the e-file is open and attack can happen at any moment. So bishop d6 was played. Let's see what might happen here. Knight gf6 was tried by Carlsen against Firouzja. Firouzja played check, and then let's see what happened. The same situation, not easy to castle here. Rook c8, trying to reroute rook to e6. And at this position, Firouzja got initiative and eventually was able to win the game against Magnus Carlsen in 2023. But in our game, bishop d6 was played, bishop b2, put in pressure, and natural move, knight gf6 development. It was probably better for black to play d4, locking the bishop. Let's see what might happen. White will probably play c3, challenging the pawn, and black can sacrifice the pawn and castle. Let's say something like this. White wins pawn, but black was able to castle and has some compensation for the lost pawn. Okay, but it was played knight f6. Now, obvious check. Bishop e7, and this is a position where we started. Black king got stuck in the center. It's not clear how black can finish his development. Okay, king f8. Black gives up and moves the king, but with the rooks unconnected and his piece coordination broken, the position is difficult for black. Let's see what else can be done. Rook c8, similar idea, what Carlsen tried to do. Rook c6, rook a6. Here, let's say d4, rook c6, and white develops. So black is able to castle, but still left with some weaknesses on queen side. Castle happens, but white starts attack the weaknesses on queen side. Let's say take, and something like this. White has nice position. Knight sits on blockading square, strong bishop, good rook. This is advantage for white. But black at least castled. Okay, in the game, it was played king f8. So no more castle by the rules. White develops, and now black tries to blockade the diagonal. But when you push pawns forward, quite often you give control of other squares. Here, knight can go to e4, obviously, and it was played. Okay, queen takes e4. Now pawn is hanging. So black played b6. c3, quite logical move. White opens the central lines by force, getting strong activity for his pieces. Take, both central files are open for white rooks. Those rooks are playing here. Knight tries to develop, and queen b7. Now tactics is threatened. Deflection. Take bishop, and then take rook after queen retakes rook on e7. Knight g8. Black notices the tactics and goes into very passive position trying to defend. This is bad for black, obviously. Knight comes to active position. Now black is ready to give away pawn on a7, but white simply goes for central attack. See, notice this. Rooks, knight sitting, queen sitting. Queen c7 tries to trade queens. Even with the trade of queens, white's still better, but obviously we shouldn't trade in such position because we're attacking. So queen d5, threatening checkmate in one move. Black tries to defend with the knight. And now simple finish. Check. Now if king moves to g8, bishop is hanging, so king needs to move to e8, but now quite simple tactics. Take, king forced to take, and check, and game is over. King needs to move to d8, now discovery check, and checkmate follows in 2 moves. Actually, next move would be checkmate. So if queen moves to d7, we play queen takes d7. And if queen d6, obviously queen takes d6 checkmate. So after this move, knight f6, black resigned. Okay, let's move to our next example. In this game, former world champion Bobby Fischer demonstrates how to attack the Uncastled king. Fischer's opponent is an Argentinian Grandmaster Miguel Najdorf, who was one of the leading world chess players in the 1940s and the 1950s. Najdorf is often remembered for the Najdorf variation of the Sicilian defense. And the Sicilian defense was played in this game. Fischer plays white, Najdorf plays black. That's common moves. And Najdorf variation. Miguel Najdorf plays his own variation against Bobby Fischer. The Najdorf variation is popular currently at the elite grandmaster level. The last black's move is very flexible. It covers the important b5 square, preparing the aggressive e5 push. Also, at the moment, black keeps the g4 square under control, not letting white immediately attack with a g4 move. Okay, h3. Fischer looks far in the future. This move has been played a lot recently in the elite level games. Fischer had extensive practice in the Najdorf variation with both white and black pieces. For example, his favorite move was bishop c4, the Sozin variation where Fischer won a lot of games. And in general, in this position, numerous moves are played for white. Let me show you some. Bishop e3, theoretical move. Bishop g5, bishop e2, bishop c4, pawn can go to f3, to f4, g3, h3, a4 was played. Even rook g1 with the idea of pushing g4 immediately. This indicates actually that so far nobody identifies the best setup for white in the neither variation. Otherwise, we would not see so much variety in the current practice. But h3 was played. Okay, b5. This is the fourth choice in current practice. Most popular moves right now e6 and e5. Let me show you one popular line. e5, knight goes back, then h5, trying to prevent g4, g3 played here. Bishop goes to long diagonal, and white starts attacking rook. Then rook regroups, white gets tempo even here, and this is complex position which was currently played. It's popular, but let's not go to the details here. Let's go back to our game. b5 was played. Okay, now knight d5. Aggressive move by Fischer, trying to take under control the c6 square. Most popular currently is a4. That's what played usually. b4, d5, something like this is one of currently popular lines. But again, we're not trying to cover the neither variation here. We're going through this game to see how to attack the uncastled king. Okay, so knight d5. Aggressive and tricky move. Here, black played bishop b7, which looks logical, but it's strategic mistake because black is stuck with an uncastled king. But black should be very careful here. Example, if black plays knight bd7, they immediately lose. Knight c6, queen is trapped. Okay, if they try to play knight as a knight to d7, then after bishop g5, another trap might happen. If black plays h6, trying to push bishop back, knight e6, and white is winning again. If pawn takes, then we have checkmate coming. This would be immediately over. And what else can be done after knight e6? Queen is attacked, or check is possible, but then bishop d2, and this is double attack. We're threatening a lot of bad things here. So white is completely winning. So after knight d5, it was played bishop b7. Okay, now after this trade, king stuck in the center. c4. Energetic move by Fischer, immediately challenging the b5 pawn. Alternatives available. For example, development was bishop d3, protecting pawn a4, but c4 looks logical. Take. This only helps white to attack by bringing the bishop to the active c4 square. Better probably was to play e5, but this was played, bishop takes, and pawn is accepted. Castle. Black is in serious trouble because white has a big advantage in development. d5. Logical move, trying to push bishop back, and rook e1, very logical move by Fischer. But it's a mistake. Engines find that black somehow has equality here. So natural move bishop b3, and white keeps winning position according to engines. But let's see what engine found here. Engine says that black can sacrifice bishop and then somehow to survive this position. So now this is one of the engine lines which is not easy to figure out. For example, why queen d7 and then queen c8 was played here, not very clear. Again, for humans, it would be very difficult to figure out. Nevertheless, so bishop takes g2, objectively the strongest move for black, leading to equality. Black is not winning here. Equality. But e5 was played, natural move. Mistake by engine. And now check and sacrifice of the exchange on e4. This exchange sacrifice is the strongest move. White has an unstoppable attack against the uncastled king. Okay, take knight f5. Excellent attacking outpost for the knight. Bishop c5. Check and check back. It's not repetition. What Fischer is doing, he's making black king move. because then it's not possible to castle by the rules. By the way, let's see what happens if king, instead of moving to e7, goes to f8. Then bishop h6. Now threats of discovery attacks, king moves, and now white wins with maneuver of the queen. Queen b3, queen g3, and unstoppable attack here. Let's say queen b3. If black tries to play queen f8, the knight f5, and this would be checkmate, for example. Okay, but king moved to e7, then again, this is not repetition because no castle by the rules. Okay, bishop e3, great move. So white is developing and trading the defender. Okay, bishop is traded. Now last pieces to protect black king. Again, strong move by Fischer. Taking with a pawn is better than taking back with a knight, because knight is already sitting in attacking position. Black tries to move queen, and now a remaining piece joins the attack. It becomes very difficult for black to defend because they cannot castle by the rules. They already moved king. So k7. Now queen comes on defense. If queen takes pawn, it's not helping. There is interesting line here where white is chasing this king. Something like this, and king almost escapes, but checkmate follows. Something like this is possible. Okay, black goes on defense, queen d8, queen comes, f7 is attacked. So now pawn on f7 is taken, king goes to d8. Okay, where else it can go? Only f8. King comes here, we're just coming. Queen comes, and then we go like this and threatening this move. Let's say if queen comes, we play, and knight cannot move because we're pinning, otherwise black cannot stop this checkmate. Okay, king d8 was played, and after bishop a6, black resigned as they cannot stop the pin on d file. White will win a lot of material. Let's move to our next example. In this game, former world champion Garry Kasparov launches a powerful attack against the Uncastled king in a quiet opening. Kasparov's opponent is a strong grandmaster Valery Salov, who played several times in the candidates tournaments and who was ranked third in the world at the highest point of his career. Kasparov plays white, Salov plays black. English. b6, one of possible moves. This position is very flexible. Many moves can be played. For example, g6, e6, c6, c5, and b6 like Salov played. Okay, and usually b6 leads to hedgehog setups. Okay, knight c3, c5. Again, one of possible options. Most popular are currently bishop b7. And second option here, white could play g3, which is the main move. But again, position can be played in numerous ways. d6. Now white needs to play d4 because black wants to play e5 next and close the center. So d4 is necessary. Kasparov plays it, trade happens, and we have a common pawn structure called the Morozzi bind on the board. This structure with a white pawn sitting on c4 and e4 is named after Giza Morozzi, a Hungarian grandmaster who was one of the leading players in the world in his time. This pawn formation is called a bind because it gives white a long-term space advantage, with the central pawns controlling possible counterplay pawn moves such as b5 and d5 pawn breaks. Okay, bishop b7 was played. Black goes for so-called hedgehog pawn structure, with black pawns lined up along the sixth rank with the idea of controlling a lot of squares on the fifth rank in front of the black pawns. Usually a long positional battle follows in this kind of strategic setup. White controls 4 ranks, while black controls the 3 ranks. Both armies are trying to regroup in the best possible way for a potential sharp battle that might start at the right moment by either white or black, with pawns or pieces moving to the 5th rank. The side that is better prepared for a battle at the moment when it starts should have an edge. In general, such positions are considered to be favorable for white because it has more space. Queen e2, possible move, and this is a third theoretical option. Other moves are f3 and bishop d3. Okay, what is the idea of queen e2? We're protecting pawn, bishop is open, and other bishop goes on long diagonal. This is a setup by white. Knight bd7, possible move. Again, black can play, for example, a6 here, and then some typical moves would be played. Both sides placing pieces in standard positions. And this would be a typical setup for white and black in this type of Marcy-bind strategic play. Long battle ahead. Okay, but knight bd7 was played, which is normal move. g3, getting bishop to the long diagonal, rook improves, 6, and castle. Everything looks normal, except black king still in the middle. But white cannot open lines, so looks normal. Queen c7. This is typical hedgehog move, but a calculation mistake. Solov probably underestimates that white can play knight d5 with a tempo soon, starting a powerful attack. Black should be very careful with the order of the moves at this moment because the black king is still in the center. And if white is able somehow to open lines, it might give them a dangerous attack against uncastled king. So more logical move would be e6 or g6. For example, after e6, likely line would be b3, bishop e7, bishop goes, and then let's say rook comes. Would be typical play. By the way, engine after e6 says that white can sacrifice on e6 immediately. Not sure if Kasparov was planning this immediate sacrifice. Probably only if he was prepared for this specific position, because the resulting lines are not very easy. But again, engine says it might be sacrificed here and shows some lines, something like this. Queen takes f6, and with advantage for white. Well, by the way, if instead of queen takes f6, rook is grabbed, this is not working because white will take with check, and after bishop e7, black rook is trapped and white simply win. But I'm not sure if Kasparov would play it. Okay, but after queen c7, white plays b3, typical move, e6, and now typical move in this structure. Even if it's typical, it's still not easy. Kasparov starts a powerful attack on the castle king. However, if this move is easy to see for experienced player, the calculations of the piece sacrifice are not clear. The engine says that Kasparov was absolutely right here, playing the strongest move. Okay, queen b8, Solov believes, and just moves queen. So if take, check, and king d8, this would be the critical position. According to engines, white is winning with numerous moves here. For example, engine shows a4, bishop d2, bishop b2, rook e1, all lead to big advantage. Let me show you one line, a4. Again, this is engine line, and I'm not sure if it would be played in the game or not, but according to engine, white is winning here. But all this shows that Kasparov was correct. So if the sacrifice is accepted, so if it's taken, white has numerous options here that lead to winning position, and it would be very likely that Kasparov will find one of them. Okay, but Kasparov sacrificed knight, Solov refused, played queen b8. Okay, rook d1. Kasparov keeps a knight on d5, believing that black cannot take it because white's attack would be decisive. Engines approve it. g6, trying to get bishop to the game. Bishop g5. Logical, active move by Kasparov, but this is a first decision that engines don't like. They say that bishop h3 or bishop a3 is stronger, but still bishop g5 keeps advantage, and it's very difficult for black to defend here under such pressure. Okay, bishop g7, trade, and now white wins pawn on b6. Rook d8. Salov makes another mistake. He underestimates the pawn break in the center. Better move was rook c7. Then likely move would be knight a4, castle, and black escapes with the king from the center, but still probably losing long term because white is up a pawn in Morrissey bind. Okay, but rook d8 was played, and now Kasparov goes for breakthrough in the center with e5. Now knight is attacked. What to do? So need to take pawn or need to take on g2. Salov takes on g2. Engine says that necessary to take on e5, but still white is winning. That's knight c6. This would be likely played because these moves are very logical. Here white is winning. So after bishop takes g2, then take, and probably this move was missed. This intermediate take on a6, which immediately wins the game. Kasparov finds it. Now take, bishop e7, and another powerful move, c5. Kasparov opens more lines for his pieces. White's attack against uncastled king is unstoppable. Bishop goes back, rook e1, checkmate in one move is threatened, protected from checkmate. c6, another tempo move. Queen obviously cannot take because it would be checkmate. So bishop takes, but now pinned. Queen cannot take knight. Again, checkmate is sitting. Rook d7, take, and queen takes d7. Queen c4 still cannot castle. And normally, two bishops are better than a rook and a pawn. But here black is simply losing because they cannot stop the threats on the open lines. White is winning, even if they have these two bishops for rook and pawn. Queen c7 was played, rook f8, a nice tactical finish, queen b8. King f7, rook c7, resigned. Black resigned. Why? Let's see. If they take, queen, obvious take. Now bishop is attacked twice. The only way to protect. But another bishop is taken, and this is hopeless position for black. We're done with our examples of attacking the uncastled king. Today, the key takeaway is that attacking the uncastled king isn't just about raw force. It's about precision, timing, and knowing when to open lines and how to use your pieces to create unstoppable threats. Now it's your turn. Try to apply these strategic ideas in your own games when you're playing in situations when the opponent's king is stuck in the center. Please let me know in the comments how it goes. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more chess tips and lessons. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.